Well, hello my friends, welcome back. This is Furtado, the Rebel Turner. Officially, the Rebel Turner. You know, when we get onto the lathe, artistic licenses can go crazy or go on vacation. I don't know which. Or we set an idea in our heads and we lock up our venturous mind from going anywhere else and just stick with that. And you know, sometimes that's not a great thing. But anyway, you know, always explore, always see, always stop, look at the piece, see if it has better offers than what's staring at you or what you have already pre-envisioned and are stuck on. Because, like I said, sometimes during my editing, I see parts where I was at and it looked better at that point than it did at the final result, other than the finishing of the piece. But if I was to take it in the direction that it was in at that time, it would have been a different piece. It would have probably been a better looking piece than what I ended up with. So it's important, keep an open mind and don't be stuck in a set way that you don't let the wood dictate what's happening with it and you don't appreciate what's happening at the moment. Well, let's get to the lathe. Too much talking. The hardest part of the turning is actually deciding what is the best that the wood has to offer. Looking at a piece of wood, sometimes you can look at it and you see variable options, and the one you decide to go with sometimes is not the best one. This might very well be one of those cases. I have a nice piece of wood, and no matter what I do with it, I know will be some interest in it. But what we do with it sometimes is not necessarily the best outcome. As promised, to the lathe and start. I have this rather bulky piece of wood from the bottle brush, and I put it on the bandsaw, and I mean, it had some chainsaw cuts on a couple of these areas, but I kind of made it more or less into some sort of a cube. It's a little bit taller than it is wider. So I'm looking at it and I see, okay, the wood grain is growing this way. Over here, you see that this is the growth rings going this way. But when you get over here, it changes direction. So this has a little bit of character going through here, but it also has all these splits. Then when I flip it again, I look at this area and I see, okay, here's a sign of decay and funkiness in this area right here. So, you know, do I want to focus on that? And this area right here almost shows the center of the pit, and all these options become obstacles that get in our way of deciding the final design. With me on this particular case, because of the checking that's going on here, and I see this and a little bit of bark right over here, and this check goes through and then this one comes up over here, I think what I'd like to do is see what captures out of this and make this somewhat of a vessel of some sort. Neck going down into the body. So if I envision the neck coming out of here, but if I go something like this, as much as I can, and the base being here like that. So base and this as possibly being the shape of my form. And I think that doing this, it will offer me a little bit of this character that's over here at the top as being part of its character. Now, one thing that I get quite a bit is people saying, well, if it were me, I would have put that, chopped it down on a bandsaw. Only do that if you know for a fact that's the direction you want to go. Because once I cut this, then I'm forced, I have to go in that direction. So most of the time, unless I'm working with something that's regular like this, I will let the lathe and what's developing on the tool be the deciding factor on what to do. But in a case like this, I could very well bring it to the bandsaw and take some of this bulk out. It won't make it balanced unless I do it from at least two sides, and I can't do two sides because it's a square. But you know something, I am going to take it to the bandsaw and see if perhaps I can at least clear some of this up. Not to my lines because I don't want to be forced, but make it somewhat of a circle. Something like this. And see if that will help me out, and then I will refine it with the tools on the final approach. Okay, so with a piece cut like this, it will already be a little bit easier to handle. But looking at this, you would think, oh, you want to put the center here and turn it this way since you're already kind of round with it. But that's not what I want. I want this to be the mouth of the piece and this to be the base. So what I want to do is mount it up, spur drive set right inside of the chuck like I normally do, take it pretty close to where I think is center on the mouth side of it. That is definitely close enough. So as usual, the first thing I'm going to do is get some of this bulk out, get rid of these sharp edges, start creating a little bit of a shape, create a tenon here so I can reverse this, reverse chuck it. So time to go in there and get started. And basically I'm going to go with my bow gouge and start going in, probably a little bit of push cuts because this is side grain going through here. So I don't want to be going straight on here, not unless I have to, but I'm going to see how it reacts. Speed, I will check. This is about 600 RPMs, and I think that's fine. Now, I don't know if you see, every time I'm making a cut, if you are able to see the angle that I'm using, and that rule always applies to the heel being facing in the direction, or roughly in the direction that I want to go. If it's skipping, then I'll make an adjustment to it. But once I have that established, pretty much I'm just pushing and staying with the flow and the direction that it's going. And I think I will be fine with this. You really have to think of design even at this point, even if you already thought you had made up your mind on what you wanted. Take a look and you might see something that you might want to change your mind. You know, if you have a piece in the house that can be used, or you saw somebody do something that really attracts you, that you are inspired by, this is the time to, especially if you step on design, to take a look at somebody's works and say, oh, I like that, I'm just going to modify it slightly or whatever. It would be now that you would do something like that. Now this could still be the neck if I decided I wanted to achieve this as the neck rather than the base, but I don't see any reason for me to alter at this point from my original design, other than the fact that this stuff, this orange stuff going through here, is all punky stuff going all the way up over here, and this might become a little bit problematic to get to the final piece on this. It's time to, like I said, get a little closer in there and start establishing maybe a tenon, and I will decide on my final once the tenon is created and it's flipped. Now one thing that I want to bring up at this point is, because of all this punkiness, punky wood, well, that's a weak tenon over there, and what if it was a tenon or mortise, it would not change anything. The nature is you got punky wood over here. Do not trust a tenon like this all the way through. If it lets go, at this point it's still something that's easily redone. But if you're in a line of fire and it decides to go and you're going fast, you might not be able to redo it. You know, so be aware of the wood conditions and be aware that things happen. Okay, this is going at 620 RPMs. I kind of like the shape that it's what's happening here. A little fat on the bottom. I can probably slim this down a little bit more, and of course get rid of these two flat spots, and then I will probably add some CA glue to these punky areas so I don't lose it. Like I said, I could treat it, but that's the way I'm leaning right now. So I got this huge check going in here, and this cannot be part of the character, at least not right on the lip, right on the mouth, unless I had enough here to capture that and take it away and have this as being part of the design. But that's probably going to play no matter what, but a little further down. I don't think that it being interrupted right here is an ideal place. Now, as you're turning, you also start seeing different things, and you start saying, wait a minute, you know, I was going with this as the top, but what would it be if this was the top? And you know, you're perfectly okay to change your mind on those things. And you know something, I am tempted to lean as this being the top and maybe clean up all these punky areas other than what's at the very base or at this part of it right here, but let this play as kind of eating away areas of the vase, and that's the way that I'm actually going to go. So I'm going to create a tenon on this bottom part as well to be able to flip this again. And don't look at it as not knowing what you're doing, that's why you're changing your mind. You're looking at development of the wood. Yeah, I'm going to let this CA runoffs play with its design actually, and this will probably create an interesting look to the piece. Especially if I don't sand it all the way. Alright, when you're using CA in that quantity, step away from the piece. Don't be breathing in these fumes. Okay, I'm back, and this has been here for a little while. Have CA poured pretty much all over the place on this. So for the finish on this, I'm just going to do a sanding. And the rest of it I'll let it play out. The shape I think looks pretty good. I will sand this, reverse chuck it, and hollow it out and see what it wants to become. So sanding, gonna start with 80 grit. And work it down to 400. Well, this is my third coat and final coat of lacquer spray. And when I get pieces that are odd shaped like this, even though this one is oddly shaped, intentional to some extent, literally broke off some of these edges that were kind of straight to create more interest with this piece. I thought the piece was a little bit blah, both in character and what it possessed. It had a slight line going in of decay, so I just helped it along and established more of a with jags. This piece over here was solid all the way through, and literally I blew it out, not giving me much interest, but I removed the sliver. I removed the sliver from this section right here and glued it back in on the remainder, which was here and here, and that created a little bit of interest to this side that was somewhat without interest. This side has plenty of interest with the way that the decay was going, literally all the way down to here. So this was all pretty much all decay, but this side was pretty much solid. So that, I think, created and balanced off the piece, as you can see. I think it looks pretty good. It's time to finalize this by removing the foot and finishing it off. I will see if this is long enough to do it on this chuck. If not, I can always put it on the 100mm chuck, but it should be fine, and it is. So everything clears, so this should be a nice straightforward finish. Well, my friends, thank you for watching. I hope to see you very soon. I know that I will be posting a couple of videos out of the hotel that I'll be staying in to keep me entertained. So this will most likely be one of them. This is turned July 3rd. So tomorrow is July 4th. Happy Independence Day, even if it's a little bit after the fact. I hope you had a great one. On this video, what I do is I show how to make this particular bowl. Not originally how I wanted it to end up, but it's intentional on the finished product. Here it is, what otherwise would have been a pretty kind of boring piece. And it still might not be the greatest thing. You still might not like it. But the form that it's in with this, in my opinion, it poses a lot more interest than this being. If it was solid all the way through and just a hollow vessel, it would have been fine. But going with just one-sided down because of the punky wood that was in here, really punky, all the way down to here. Even towards the bottom it had some. And when you get punky wood, and no matter how well you sand it, this has been sanded pretty well, but you get these little dull spots that you just can't seem to get a uniform shine out of it. So you can see that spot right there, that's a little bit of the punkiness going through it. And I think that there were a couple of others that I really struggled. In this vein, going through here, it's got a little bit, but I didn't pluck it out. I only plucked out the big stuff that was on the top here. The wood is the amazing bottle brush. Some much nicer colors than I anticipated at the end. This vein going through here. This was prominent all the way from the beginning, and I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to play out, but I think it played out just fine. This was, and really gave me some really beautiful pattern going through here, which is what makes pieces sometimes. It's what the wood has to offer, and whenever I can, I try to present or preserve what the wood has to offer. I do that. Don't always succeed, of course, but it's a nice looking piece. I hope you like it.